Right, Hall of Fame boxing promoter Frank Warren. Another show this Saturday night. It's Daniel Dubois against Bogdan Dinu. What are your thoughts on this fight?
Look, it's a tough fight for Daniel. Obviously, after his last fight and the way it ended, there were a lot of detractors. People were criticising him, I think unfairly, and a lot of people obviously understood that he made the right decision. So he's got a lot of pressure on him. Besides, he's fighting somebody decent, and it's for a WBO interim title. I think he's got it all. He has got it all to do. But having that thing in your mind that I've got to show everybody, he's going to make a statement, I hope, and get himself back to where he should be.
You've been around him today. You've had several meetings with him since the Joe Joyce fight. What sort of vibe are you getting from him?
Well, he's always very quiet. He's not a boastful guy. He doesn't talk about what he's going to do with somebody. It's just, I think he lets his fist do the talking in the ring, and it's pretty much the same now. But a couple of meetings I had, prior to today, he was really couldn't wait to get in there and said he needs to do this. Don't want to be, don't get me no easy jobs. So we haven't got him an easy job. It's as simple as that. But it's this gets him back in the position where where he's up there with the big boys again. He's only 23, so he's a baby in terms of heavyweights, and so I'm looking forward to it. It's been quite an intriguing, and I think it'll be an exciting fight because, you look at Bogdan. He's fit as they come, fit as the bush's dog. You can see he's been in constant training, and he fancies the job. I know his team fancy the job big time.
There's an ambition there to become Romania's first ever heavyweight champion. That's what he's been telling us.
I'm sure he has got that ambition, and as I say, by looking at him and looking at the way he's been prepared, he's obviously going to do his best to make that happen. I hope, though, he doesn't become Romania's first heavyweight. We need our man to win. I want him to win, and I want Daniel to go out and show what he's got. But until that first bell goes, you can sort of think about how the fight's going to go, who brings what to the table. But until the first bell goes, who knows what's going to happen. They're just big guys in there, they're big punchers, anything can happen.
The WBA interim title is on the line, so where does this leave Daniel? If he comes through on Saturday night, for those that need it explained, please explain it.
Well, he again gets a shot at the WBA champion. That's what they've said. The winner of this gets a shot at the WBA champion, and that's where he's at, and that get him into a good position by the time I hope that Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua have their respective contractual commitments before they get it on. So by the time the winner of this unification, please God it happens, by the time that happens, that he'll be, if it's Daniel, he'll be in a great spot. And also you're looking at what Joe Joyce is as well, like he's the number one. If AJ does fight Usyk, then he becomes the number one challenger, mandatory challenger. So it's, we're in a really good position with our guys, and who knows what's going to happen. Maybe down the line you may see a rematch between Daniel and Joe. Who knows? And it'd be great if they were doing it for a big title. That'd be brilliant. But the main thing is they've all got to focus on their respective fight. Daniel's got to focus on what he's doing on Saturday. Tyson's can't be complacent about what he's got in front of him with Deontay Wilder, and obviously we'll be all wanting AJ to do the business against Usyk, and obviously I want Joe to come through here fighting July 2. I want him to come through. I just want these guys to keep winning so that we can get the big fights together. And it's Britain. Britain is best. All the heavyweights, all the best heavyweights are here.
Yeah, it's a great time to be a British heavyweight. A couple of things to pick up on there, Frank. People are saying Daniel Dubois is getting out before Joe Joyce. He's in a great position. He's fighting for this interim title. And people are saying, what about Joe Joyce? So what's your answer to that?
The fact is he is getting out before Joe Joyce. I mean, that's the reality. But Joe had a choice. We've done really well to get him into that mandatory position. So with all the nonsense that had gone on backwards and forwards with Tyson and AJ, no one could make a move until that fight went on. And if it went on, then Joe would have fought for the interim title against Usyk. Well, it's not going on. So now, as I've just mentioned, AJ will fight Usyk or not. If he doesn't, then Joe will fight for the vacant title. If he does fight Usyk, then Joe will be the mandatory to the winner. And that mandatory will happen quick. Mm-hmm. So Joe's in a great position. So he's very much, I know it's frustrating, but that was his position. That's what he fought, when he fought against Daniel, that's what he fought for. That's where we got into. So we done a great job for the winner of that fight to be in that position. In the meantime, he's got to come back, Triple D, and we brought him back with it, and put him into a decent position as well.
Just on Joshua, you've mentioned a couple of times that his next fight should be Alexander Usyk. Some of the mood music that seems to be coming from that side is about potentially vacating, potentially being sick of mandatories and being dictated to. What do you think is going to happen there?
I don't know really, but we'll find out very soon, because the fight will go to purse bids if they can't reach an agreement in the next few days.
I think they've said they don't want to go to purse bids.
Well, then they've got to reach an agreement. They might ask for an extension to before they do it, but one way or another, something will happen, and that will determine what happens with Joyce, whether he fights Usyk for the vacant title or becomes the mandatory. And it will, if he does vacate AJ, then the 4 belts won't be on the line, providing Tyson gets through against Wilder. Then that being the first heavyweight, whoever wins that fight to hold the 4 belts, that won't be the case.
And what does that mean? With less belts being on the line, how does that affect the potential site fee, the glamour of the fight? Like, how does that all work?
I don't think it affects. I mean, look, we all want that because it's historical, and it's a very historical moment in boxing because it hasn't happened before. Having said that, for me, that fight with no belts on the line is a great fight. Let's get it right. I mean, they're both number 1 and 2 heavyweights in the world. We think Tyson's number 1, but the other side, I think, something different. But having said that, they're the 2 best out there, and if as long as they get it on at the end of the day, I would prefer all the belts to be on the line, but if they're not, let's just make sure we get the fight on still.
Deontay Wilder, after being quiet for so long, seems to have rejuvenated, found his voice again. He's posting, he's active on social media. He's talked about wanting to disfigure Tyson Fury and do such a job that his mother doesn't recognise him. What do you think of these comments, Frank?
Well, they're not exactly in the best possible taste. I think he's got a problem, not so much figuring him out. And he couldn't figure him out certainly in the last fight. And the fight before that, Tyson got robbed. So for me, I don't know what he's been doing, but whatever he's doing behind the scenes now, and as you say, started to become vociferous again. The fact of the matter is, whatever he's doing, it's going to have to be something special, because he didn't outbox Tyson. Tyson took his best 2 shots in the first fight, got off the ground, and got robbed in the first fight. And the second fight, he wasn't even at the races. So I don't know what he's going to do. Is he going to become a great boxer overnight? He's a dangerous puncher, statistically the hardest puncher in heavyweight in the last 30, 40 years, whatever it is. But Tyson showed him that he can take his shots, and one thing's for sure, in that last fight, he couldn't take Tyson's shots.
Is he still the most dangerous fight out there for Tyson Fury?
Well, of course it's a dangerous fight. When somebody can punch like that, 1 second lapse of concentration, you can be over on the floor. And that's what happened in the first fight. Not once, twice. So we know he whacks, he's a big puncher. And Tyson's too professional to be complacent, and he knows what's at stake, and he just wants to get it out of the way. It's a shame what happened with the arbitration. Lawyers and people out in the States told us it was going to be a different outcome. But as I said all along, I'm not saying anything about anything till it was signed to fight, and unfortunately never got signed. So, reality now, the reality of it all is, as I was just saying here, that both Tyson and AJ have got their obligations to commit to and deal with.
Just on the arbitration, there's been comments out there, which I'm pretty sure are wrong, but I want you to correct them if that's the case, about how Tyson should have just dropped the WBC title and then cracked on.
He couldn't do that. The arbitrator decided that his next fight would have to be against Deontay. If he dropped the title, then he would have been sued, if he didn't fight him, for many, many millions of dollars by Wilder and his team. And any promoter who attempted to promote him would have probably got an injunction and been sued for tortuously interfering with a contractual obligation that the arbitrator said was there. So it is what it is.
Fans are back on Saturday night.
That's great. It's great. I mean, it's a small start, but it's a big start. We've got them in there, and I think they're going to be noisy. And they're going to get behind there, and that man Nathan and a couple of the other guys on the card. So I'm looking forward to that. Get a bit of atmosphere. It's been quite. We've all done well to keep the shows going and put them on. It's been difficult for the fighters with no fans in there, especially for the bigger fights, because they're used to it, and guys who've got big followings are used to having that the crowd behind him, the vocal support and so forth. So it's a start, and let's hope by July we've got hopefully full stadiums.
There's been a few complaints online, Frank. They're saying, why weren't the tickets on general sale? How come I can't get any tickets? Is this all Nathan Heaney's fault?
Yeah, we blame Nathan. No, he took. Well, they've all taken tickets to fights. They're the first. The fighter says, right, I want this amount of tickets. They're not keeping them from themselves. They're for the general public. That's what it was.
And finally, what can we expect then on Saturday night?
I think we're going to see a very, very exciting heavyweight fight, which is going to have a major effect on the future of heavyweight boxing.
A final word on Tommy Fury, actually. He's in against an unbeaten opponent. This is, on paper, this is a step up, right?
Look, every fight's a step up for him. He's had 5 fights as a pro, and his last amateur fight was when he was 16. So, he's a novice. Say how it is. He's a novice. He's got a long, long way to go now. He's got a long education ahead of him. But I like his attitude and what he's doing, and he's going out to get experience. He's quite sensible. So as long as he keeps that attitude, we know he's fit. As long as he keeps the dedication there, because I've seen really talented guys without dedication fall by the wayside. But he's got dedication. He knows what he wants. And provided he has that mental approach and keeps that way, then I think he's got a good chance of doing some good things in the future. But he's got a tough fight on Saturday.
All right, well, look, we look forward to it, and thanks for speaking to me, Frank, and I'll see you up in Telford.
I'll see you when I'm looking at you.